For those of you who don't know me, I'm Peter Hansen. I'm one of the members of the leadership team. I've been on the leadership team, I'm going to say 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Uh, my wife and I live in DC, but we are currently in Omaha, where we are volunteering for the Dan Osborne for Senate campaign. And I'll give you a very brief story of how that came about. Actually, through a 31st Street connection. Dre Samuelson called up one day or sent an email out to the leadership team and said, there's this guy in Nebraska, Dan Osborne, who's running for Senate. And this was late 2023. He's coming to DC. We need a place to put him up. Who wants to be his host? And we said, well, yeah, sure. Okay, why not? We've got a guest room. Uh, but we got to know Dan that first time he was in DC. He came back several additional times, meeting with folks on the Hill, prospective donors, et cetera, et cetera. And 31st Street jumped on board with his campaign there in early 24 and got him some really important early money. Um, I actually went and worked for a couple of weeks on the campaign in October of that year. Ultimately, Dan came up short, but was really a remarkable run and outperformed the Harris ticket by 14 points. He lost by 6 to Deb Fisher, the sitting senator, but certainly came closer than anyone expected. So he's running again, this time against the other sitting senator, Pete Ricketts. The Ricketts family started TD Ameritrade, the online brokerage firm. They also own part of the Chicago Cubs. So basically, Pete Ricketts has unlimited resources. Uh, and it's a case of the union president, Dan Osborne, against the billionaire. Uh, the latest poll that the campaign got actually shows Osborne ahead by 5 points, which is wonderful news. Uh, we've been out here and we're doing what, basically, for lack of a better term, is dialing for dollars, calling up folks who've supported the campaign a couple of years ago and asking if they will support again. And you'll run into some interesting conversations. I chatted with a farmer. He was actually talking to me from the cab of his tractor. He put me on speakerphone. I could hear him running the tractor in the background, but we had a nice talk. He's certainly looking for change. Uh, and we're talking about a deep red state, that there's now a lot of people who are looking for something different, with an independent candidate being especially interesting to them. And then we've also run into folks who said, I'm a Democrat, but I support Dan. I love what he's doing, but I just disagree with him on some issues, so I just can't write him a check. Um, and okay, well, that's fine. We get that. Thank you for your support. And but to me, it's like we need to restrain ourselves from applying the litmus test of the finding the perfect candidate for every seat. Um, there's things I don't agree with Dan on and his positions, but that's fine. Getting someone in that seat who will vote with Democrats most of the time is going to be, again, a game changer for Nebraska, but also potentially on a national basis. So, what's my point of telling this story? Well, basically, is that we've all got it in our power to do something, and I encourage you to do it. Obviously, you're doing something being here today. That's wonderful. You know what our focus is on finding these down ballot opportunities that then really have important support flowing up. But you know, talk to your friends, make some phone calls. If you'd asked me a few months ago, how would I feel about making phone calls to raise money for a political candidate, I'd say thanks, but no thanks. Uh, but I'm doing it. It's not that bad an experience. And once you sort of get into the rhythm and you discover a lot of people are willing to chat, and the number of hang-ups are minuscule. So there's opportunities, make calls, go knock on some doors, talk to your local candidates, and obviously send a few bucks their way whenever you can. Um, Final thought, I mean, I see sort of the giving history of the people I'm talking to, and sometimes they end up having, it shows that they gave money in October 28th of 2024, 5 days before the election. And that's wonderful. But the campaign, any campaign, would love to have that in April or May or June, when they can use it to rent office space, hire staff, et cetera. By the time late October rolls around, about all they can do is run more TV ads, and we're all at that point just, sick of them anyway. So get involved, do something, look for opportunities. With that, let me pass the baton to Jim Shelton. Jim, take it away.
Hi, I think I know almost everybody on the call. I'm the political analyst, and the way I like to do things is to show slides. And of course, Peter made a lot of good points, including uh, contributing early or acting early, and that's one of our fundamental principles. So I'm going to go ahead and shift to the slides. People see this? People hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So. Um, Again, I think most of you pretty much know this. We over time we've shifted what we do it a little bit. We try to be nimble, and I'm calling us pretty much a bottom up sort of approach, which I think a lot of our ecosystem is more top down, and I think it helps the system for us to be more bottom up. And you can see, of course, I've got state legislatures. This is now our third state legislature that we're going to be supporting. And I won't go in through the reasons for major optimism in detail in the interest of time, but I really think not only are we going to have a blue wave, but a really big blue wave. And I think there's a potential for some realignment. Um, and some of it is Trump's polling is abysmal. The Iran war stuff is not going to go away anytime soon, in my view. It's going to, the economy is going to continue to suffer inflation, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we're having some successes, and I want to tell you about one. But this actually, those of you who have heard me, I've been talking about rural for a long time. And rural is hard to assess because it's not somebody you can just ask, unlike age or something like in polling. But this really caught my eye. This is a huge shift. Now, this is just Trump's approval. But if anywhere, rural is so important for our electoral system everywhere, really, in the country. And that if we can get some significant shift, because rural voters are not getting anything good from Trump or from, the Republican Party in general. So I want to actually pause a little bit and celebrate what's happened in Iowa in terms of our legislature support. So thanks to you, and this has only been a little bit over a month. Our goal was $140,000. It turned out it was 11 what we call leading edge candidates with the potential that they could flip the Iowa legislature if everything went. It turned out we had this great opportunity for local social media. And I'll talk a little bit more what I mean by local social media. And the work is actually ongoing. Turned out that you folks donated actually 151,000 at this point, still counting. But also, this is what people who work in development love this. The Iowans liked what was going on, including the House caucus in Iowa, that this local social media support they feel is such a good thing for their candidates. They want to broaden it out. So our cohort is still working with training and supporting the ongoing work, but then they're also going to have a second cohort that we're not going to have to do. I mean, we would help if we thought it was useful, but they are actually going to go ahead and do it, and they will carry on this work going forward. So you just can't beat that.
Right.
Okay, now I'm going to show you just one example of this local social media. And this is from early on. And some of it's videos, some of it's more stills. But this is one of the people who's running, a new candidate running in Mason City, Iowa. Let's see if I can get this to come on.
People often ask, why am I running? Why am I putting myself out there to be attacked and criticized? Why am I doing something that seems hopeless and impossible? Why am I even trying? I understand it's a long race, but I'll tell you what I'm not running for. I'm not running for personal fame or fortune. I'm not running for out-of-state companies, and I'm not running to just vote the way Des Moines wants me to vote. I'll tell you what I am running for. I'm running for clean water and our family-owned farms. I'm running for schools and future of Iowa. I'm running for our rural hospitals, and let's fight that cancer crisis Iowa's at. I'm running for our small communities, local businesses, and Iowa's economy, because I understand people are struggling. There's a lot I missed, but most importantly, I'm running for you. And together, we can finish this race.
Okay, so that's just this guy, never did this before. He's just trained to do this, and it's a little homemade and so forth, and it gets better over time. But it turns out that this is something that's really useful for these legislature campaigns, and the folks in Texas believe the same thing. So now I'm going to shift now to Texas because it's another Super Bowl election, and we keep our foot on the gas because our democracy is at stake. So just a little bit of things, I haven't focused that much on Texas myself, but one point to make is that it's actually a majority minority state or minority majority state. The Anglo population, according to the US Census, is actually a little less than 40% of the population. So that's not the voting population or the registered population, or actually the turnout is more among white. And there are liberal white voters in Texas. So, but this is the direction that's going. And, my sense is that the Latino voters are actually much more motivated this time around. And there's a fair amount of Asian voters who, my understanding, tend to be pretty economically, and they're diverse, of course, but a number of them are shifting our way as well. One other reason we need to get into Texas, and this is a general point, this is the projection of what's going to happen in 2030. So Texas got 38 Congress people now. They're going to have 42. And notice Florida. Notice losing ground in California and New York. And we have to move. We have to compete in these red states or reddish states. And now's the time to do it, in my opinion. So just a little bit about the Texas race. Some of you may know this, and I drew a little bit on the latest. It's one of the university, Texas A&M poll that looked pretty good. Most recent poll I could see. Paxton, people know about him, the Attorney General, probably crooked, been indicted, and so forth. People don't like him. His net favorability is minus 18. And the absolute is 52% of Texas voters by this poll do not like him. Whereas our guy, Tellerico, positive, he's got a really good shot. But of course, part of what we're trying to do in supporting these legislature races is to get more Democrats to turn out that they'll vote Democratic, up ballot. And then here we have this is a Super Bowl. They have all these other offices, Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, and so forth. The governor, Abbott's not particularly popular. He's got a lot of money. We have, I think, a really good nominee in Hosa. She's got really good favorability. A lot of people don't know who she is because she's been a state house member. But I think once she gets out there, I think it can only go up a lot from there. So it's a great package in Texas. So what we're doing, again, we're doing what we call going for the gold, which is, and I'm gonna go through the math. I hope I got this right, Gene. There are 150 House seats, 62 incumbent Democrats. And again, because of gerrymandering, almost all of these are very safe seats. So there's four that they need to depend, they're telling us. Um, so you've got a set of candidates that are challengers. We want to go for the gold. So there are three that are in a better position that we're not planning to support. We're going to support the next 12, which, if everything falls into place and we know it's aspirational, that would actually be a 77 seat majority if everything works. But however much we do, it'll actually help a lot to change the complexion of the House and boost the up ballot races. So here's our map of those 12 candidates at this point. And like many states, looks to me like the major battleground is sort of the suburban, exurban areas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. A lot of diverse, younger people, more educated people moving into those districts, and those are really prime districts in my view. So, what is this local social media that we're talking about? Well, basically, it's Facebook, Instagram, and to some extent TikTok. And you may not like Mark Zuckerberg, but these are still very good instruments that we need to to use. And because they have really good voter targeting, both geographically and some other ways, it's inexpensive and it fills a gap. So it turns out we've sort of checked out the campaign situation in Texas. And just like in Iowa, the folks there feel like this is a particularly good thing for us to be supporting that will sort of fill the gap. And what we do is we don't pay for training, and then we actually pay for what's called boosting, so that you get better distribution of the organic stuff. That you can do your own Facebook organically, or you can also pay to get much better distribution. So, what are we asking of ourselves and asking for you? Well, Texas is a big state, and we're hot on the heels of our success in these other states. We're gonna kind of go for the gold with $200,000 goal. And it's going to be, again, we will fund it through the Texas House Caucus, which we think is a much more coherent and efficient way to do it. Again, we're using oath as we have the last two fundraisers. And not surprisingly, we will be putting the donation link in the chat for people to donate, which is an oath link. And we are going to have a fundraiser sometime in late July. And we don't exactly know because we're trying to see if we can line up a particularly good speaker for that. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Leader Wu, who, as we know, is really a hero for helping to lead this walkout in the Texas House to delay at least the reapportionment, the gerrymandering that the Republicans have done. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to him.
Thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and really appreciate everyone's efforts in helping out. Again, my name is Gene Wu. I'm a state rep out of Houston, Texas, as Southwest Houston, for those of you from the area. But my other job is that I'm also the leader of the Texas Democrats in the House. And, that's exactly as difficult as that sounds. But look, I want to talk to you a little bit about what we did last year, why, and how it relates to what we're doing now. So if I look familiar, it might be because in 2025, I was on TV like nonstop for about 2 weeks when the Texas Democrats broke quorum and went to Illinois, Chicago to be exact, and basically blocked Trump and Governor Abbott's efforts to rig our system, to cheat our democracy, to steal our elections, and to do things that just a few years ago we said were beyond the pale, were unethical, were illegal, unconstitutional. But now that we have a United States Supreme Court that is happy to bend the knee to the sitting president, um, we knew that this was in great danger, and that if we didn't do something, that this would spread across the country. Because, being from Texas, we've gotten used to the idea that every single terrible, monstrous, unethical, illegal, immoral, discriminatory idea starts in Texas, is tested out here, and then spreads everywhere else. And we didn't want to do this. We didn't want to break quorum. It didn't sound like a big deal for most people, but you understand that in Texas, we can't work and we can't raise money during the time we're in session. We had just gotten out of a brutal legislative session. And so most people wanted to go home. We haven't seen our families for months. We haven't worked. We haven't earned money. And so this was a hard thing to do. And not most importantly, we had broken quorum in 2021 over the same issues, right? And that time in 2021, we broke quorum, went to Washington, D.C., and we got punished for it. Our voters took it out on us. They didn't appreciate what we did. They didn't understand what we're doing. And we lost 2 members of it because of it. And so we were pretty hesitant to do this. But no matter what we thought of it, we understood what was going to happen if we didn't react. We know that Donald Trump has no boundaries, that he doesn't care about our democracy, our system of government, or our society as a whole. He's going to do what benefits him, no matter how much destruction it causes. And so we had to at least slow this down. We had to try to stop it. We had to warn others. And, this was a hard thing to sell to our members, but I think everyone agreed in the end, like, look, we have to try. We have to do something. We cannot sit around and do nothing. There's too much at stake. And there's too many things that we know about that other people do not understand, that we have to warn them what's going to happen. And so we did it, and it was not fun. I know it was only 2 weeks, but this was like a brutal time. Not only did we work incredibly long hours, my staff and I probably did numerous 17, 18, 19-hour days repeatedly, back to back. But more than that, it was dangerous. In the state, the governor called the state troopers on us and sent them out to find us. They sent people to come harass us at our homes. Even the people they knew were out of state, they still parked patrol vehicles in front of their homes to harass their families and do all those things. People went to people's schools, went to their workplaces, even though they knew we were out of state. And John Cornyn called the FBI on us. People called, the crazies called even crazier people on us. They sicked vigilantes, militias came after us. They doxed our location 3 times. We had to go to multiple hotels. They sent in bomb threats to 2 different locations. And not only that, the threats were violent. They threatened to kill us, have us arrested, dragged in the street and shot. People sent pizzas to our houses in the name of the Minnesota shooter. My son opened the door for ours. So this is, as you can imagine, well beyond what is considered normal politics in our country. And all of it was beyond the pale, was way over the line. But it was necessary because we could not stand by and let one man destroy everything that we've worked for. That everything this country stood for, everything that we believe in the American dream, we're not letting them steal that from all of us and steal it from my children. So we broke quorum, and I think we did what was, I think, impossible. That in 2 weeks, we convinced Americans to care about the most boring issue in politics, redistricting. And I don't think people fully understood, even to this day, understand what is going on exactly, but they know cheating when they see it, right? They know lying and stealing isn't good. And this is what it is. And in that short amount of time, I think we helped change the minds of people in places like California, where Prop 50 polled at about in the low 30s before the corn break. And when it finally passed that fall, it passed by 67%, right? Or Virginia didn't want to do theirs, but we brought a very clear call to action to them. Maryland last year did not want to do it at all, and now like they've realized what it is. So we still know that we are living in bleak and dark times. But I am here to tell you that there is light, that there is still hope. People ask me, why, how are you able to do this? How are you able to persevere through this? How do you deal with people like public officials calling for me to be arrested? Public officials calling for me to be denaturalized and deported, right? Public officials who call me a Chinese spy, who are openly and aggressively telling people to come get me. I do it because I still have hope. I do it because I believe in Americans. I believe in us. And this is what I see. I see Democrats who have learned the lessons of the past finally, who have learned to not go after and chase after the shiny things the Republicans throw in front of us, tell us that's what we're going to talk about. We reminded Democrats that what they are about, what they are here for, what has made us strong in the past, what made America great was us, was a strong, robust middle class. The working people of this country is what made us great. And we need to go back to that. We need to focus on it. We need to stay on it. You're looking in Texas right now, talking about James. You know why I feel good about James? Not just because he's a really good guy, but because the Republicans' attack on him are so stupid. They're going after him. It's like James is a vegan. And everyone's like, who cares? Right? Our state's burning to the ground. It's like, well, James likes dating Latino women. And everyone's like, and who cares? Like our school system's about to collapse. And say, well, James thinks that God does not have a gender. And we're like, well, anyone who's been to Bible school knows that's correct. And who cares? We're about to lose all our jobs and our homes. Why aren't you talking about that? And that's what James is saying. He's saying these are weak men and fools who want to talk about nonsense while we are dying, while we are struggling. And that's why I'm hopeful, because we have Democrats who are now talking and focus on the things that Americans care about, that Americans want us to deal with. And the other side of it is Americans are finally starting to wake up. As much as they hate the term woke, Americans are waking up. Whether they were MAGA or not, people are now seeing with their own eyes that cannot be overcome by lies. They're seeing the truth of what has been out there. They're seeing that for the last 50 years, their country, all that they've worked for, all that they have built up, all they sacrificed for has been stolen from them piece by piece, taken by the billionaire, stripped from us, and slowly taken and shoved into their wallet. But that's not just our money, but that's also our rights, our power, our future. And they're sick of it. They realize that they've been lied to all these times. And that gives me hope. Because people who understand that they've been lied to, they've been used, they've been taken advantage of, well, I don't think they're ready to just sit back and do nothing. I think it's time that they got their pound of flesh. I think it's time for them to hold the people accountable that lied to them, that used them, that use their own power to steal from them. And I am hopeful that the American people across this nation understand this, that this fight this November, this is not about Democrats. This November is not about, for us in Texas, it's not about Texas. It's not about James. It's not about me. It's not about Democrats. This November, we are fighting for America. This November, we are fighting for everything that we believe this country stood for. You don't have to be a Democrat to be a part of this. You don't have to even like Democrats. But you have to understand that right now, whether you agree or not with all the policies, Democrats are the only people willing to stand up against the people who seek to destroy us. So you can disagree about social issues, you can disagree about taxes, but agree that we all love this country and that we need to save it, that we need to restore the things that have been broken, we need to put back the things that have been stolen, and we need to make people great again. Donald Trump was off by 2 letters. It's not make America great again. It's make Americans great again. When we are great, when we are powerful, when we have good jobs, when we are educated, when we have control over our lives, when we have homes, when we build families, that's what makes America great. It's not when Musk becomes a trillionaire. That did nothing for anyone. Make Americans great again. And that's I know what we can do. Because the consequences of us not empowering ourselves this November, the consequences are dire. And I will say this one last thing. If you need a more clear reason of what we're fighting for and why, remember this and tell this to everyone. If we do not win and win big in 2026, there will be no 2028. Donald Trump will be a president a 3rd term, but he will not be elected to it. That is where we are in our place and time in this country. And we need to start taking it seriously. We need to start treating this moment with the respect that it deserves. And all of us, if you have the courage to say that you are an American and that you love this country, and you can say that you love this country without crossing your fingers behind your back and without feeling embarrassed about it, then do something. It is unacceptable for any American who say that they are proud to be here to not do something, to do more than just vote. Because we're talking about saving our country, and it has to be one person at a time. This is a call to action for everyone. If you say you love something, the only condition that is there is that you are willing to sacrifice for it. There is no love without sacrifice. If you love America, sacrifice for her. Let's go.
Great. So thanks so very much for that inspiration.
Thank you.
We're now going to shift to Q&A, and Adele is going to do
Start us
that.
off.
Maybe Adele, I could go ahead and ask my question.
Yeah, you ask your
What-
question. Just a minute before you do that. So if people have questions, put it in the chat and then we will take them in order. Thanks. Go ahead, Jim.
So earlier on, we were talking about your prospects of winning seats in the House. So tell us what your perspective is on that, please.
Yeah, so we are right now 14 seats away from the House. So the House is 150 members, as we said earlier, and we need 76 to take control. We are 14 seats away from that. So as a little background, in 2018, that was Beto, and that was the first Trump administration midterm, right? We unexpectedly pulled in 12 seats from the Republicans. We didn't spend any money on them. We didn't really organize for it because we weren't expecting that we would make any headways on that year. We picked up 12 seats without expecting it. Republicans didn't know it was going to happen. And bam, the next session they come back, they're like, we're ready to expand Medicaid. We're ready to put anti-LGBT protections in the law and all these other things that the Democrats have wanted for a long time, and they would always block. Right? And then 2020 rolls around, we lose after expecting to win, and then they go the opposite direction. So here right now, in 2024, there were 20 Republican House seats that Donald Trump won their districts by less than 10 points. Okay? So Donald Trump won those 20 seats where Donald Trump won by less than 10 points. I don't know where we're going to be. But the special election that we just had in SD9 up in Fort Worth, which is a bright red, like beet red Republican area, that was a 17-point Trump district, 17 points. That district flipped 33 points. Okay? It flipped 33 points to overwhelmingly elect a Democrat on a special election that Democrats are already underperforming. So people ask me for predictions. I don't do predictions. I don't know, because like my superstition is that in all the years that people have asked me for things, I make predictions. No matter how reasonable that prediction is or was, the opposite would happen. So I'm going to stop saying predictions, but I'm just going to tell you, we need 14 to win the House. 20 of those 14 that we need won their districts by under 10 points in 2024. And we just flipped one district 33 points. So I don't know if that 33-point flip is going to work in every district, but I don't need it. I mean, half of that would get me where I need to go. So, I think there are lots of people making predictions, and they're all over the place. I don't think any of them are accurate, because I think this election of all elections is going to be very unusual. I think the turnout for this election is going to be insane, because I think Americans finally understand what they're fighting for. I think they understand that the reason we are here today is because you have not participated and been a part of this in the past. And that's how you let them get away with this, because you didn't pay attention. So I think everyone's paying attention this time. So any money that is raised for our House seats will be greatly appreciated. And then this is why. We Democrats in Texas, we're used to being outspent 5 to 1, 10 to 1, 20 to 1. We still win. We can handle 10 to 1. We just need the 1, right? And it is hard for us to raise even the 1, especially right now, and because all the money's going to James. But I didn't say that. But look, a lot of these House races that we're trying to help are like down ballot races that nobody's looking at, and their opponents have hundreds of thousands of dollars. They may only have a couple of grand in the bank, but if we can get them 10 or 20 in the bank, they can go gangbusters. Now they can print out materials. Now they can get block walkers. Now they can go knock on doors more often. I mean, like I know on the East and West Coast, spending a lot of money on campaigns is normal, but here, like we don't. Our state House races are like $100,000, $200,000. Like a really, really big race is $300,000. So a lot of this will work. I mean, like the contribution you guys are planning to make, the $200,000, that will go an insanely long way. Because right now, what we're doing to make things a lot better, we're trying to be economical. Instead of just giving money, instead of just writing checks to people, we're hiring bulk campaign managers, like people who know what they're doing. So like a lot of the districts in like bright red districts, they don't need a full-time campaign manager. There's not enough money. There's not things to do. And so we're hiring like one campaign manager to work 5 different districts to make sure that those seats, even if they can't win their House seats, do everything they can to boost overall turnout, so maybe James and Gina and everyone else can win, right? So a lot of these rural communities have never had a Democrat run in 30 years. And they're like 90, 85, 90% Republican voting because there's no Democrats running, period. And just by having them out there, if they can take that 95% Republican district and take it down to 85 or take it down to 80, we do that in like 4 or 5 different places, we win statewide elections, baby. Right? And that was essentially Trump's path to victory in 24. Their game plan in 24 was lose by less. Like their stated plan in 2024 was lose by less. Just everywhere that we fight, just lose by less. You can still lose, but lose by less. And that's what Democrats need to start doing in Texas, because that's what Republicans did in blue states. So anyway, sorry, that was a very, very long answer to a short question.
Okay, so yeah, people have lots of questions. So Steve is wondering about the Latino vote.
Yes.
And that there's, that it's going to.
Yeah, I saw the question.
Okay,
so the question was, is there a big swing in Latino voting participation? Yes. The answer is yes. Emphatically yes. So the 2024 was a initial, almost like one-time swing now to the right for the Latino community. Even in Texas, the Texas Latinos are generally more conservative than Latinos around the country, especially when you get further down to the valley and closer to Mexico. And there was a harder swing to the right this time in 24. That has changed dramatically, because don't forget that in Texas, 1/4 of the entire nation's ICE raids occurred in Texas. And not only that, a lot of it is occurring in the valley, the conservative Latino areas. And if you go down to the valley, I went down there last year, and you see places like McAllen, which should be a bustling city. Their downtown is empty because in those communities, undocumented is fully integrated into the documented community. That means that every single business has both Americans and undocumented people working there. Every single one. There's unquestionably. So what happens is ICE raids start, people start getting pinched, all the undocumented workers stop coming in. But then ICE starts picking up citizens. They start picking up green card holders, and they start picking up people who have papers. And the people who have papers, people who are citizens, say, shit, I'm Latino. I look the part, but I'm a citizen. But if they don't care, they're just picking up citizens anyways. I don't want to show up to work either. And so now in South Texas, you have shuttered business after shuttered business after shuttered business. The entire construction economy is dead. It is at zero because there are no workers. The Latino community understands this. The business Latino community, the most conservative part of the community, understands this better than just about anybody else, because they are losing their livelihoods. They're losing businesses they've spent entire lives building on, and they are mad.
Okay. The next question, I don't know if you've seen it, is about congressional redistricting and how that affects the state legislative districting. Thanks.
The congressional redistricting does not affect state redistricting. So the one saving grace is the Republicans in a state really didn't want to do the redistricting, even the congressional redistricting in the first place. And they were really forced to by Donald Trump. And they thought that was a bad idea because, like we've said recently, many times, like of the 5 redistricted seats, I think we're going to take at least 3, if not 4 of them, and maybe 5, depending on how big the wave is. Members definitely didn't want to work on state house seats at the same time, but the right, the hard right, has been making lots of noises that if they come back with a majority, that they are going to redistrict state seats as well. I'm not sure that that's going to work out well for them, because just like what happened with the congressional seats, that they're going to end up dummy mandering themselves. And a lot of them know that, and they're like, no, this is a bad idea. You're going to make a bad situation even worse. And some of the Democrats are like, no, you guys keep going. Don't stop, keep going, right?
So one of the things, you've been answering this, I think, in general, but specifically, what evidence from voter inclination supports your hopeful posture? And I think
I have not met a single person who is wholeheartedly and openly saying, I'm going to vote for Republicans in this fall. And I have people who I know are hardcore Republicans who are like, I'm not sure I'm going to vote. I'm not sure who I'm going to vote for. They're definitely not voting for Abbott. They're definitely not voting for Paxton. They're definitely not voting for Dan Patrick. But members of Congress, they're still unsure of. And I'm trying to convince them, like, look, whether it's Donald Trump or the people who enabled Donald Trump and kept him in power and refused to hold him accountable, what's the difference? What's the difference between Donald Trump and the people that made Donald Trump possible? What's the difference? And they don't have a good answer for me. And they're like thinking about it. And so, like, I would say for this group, you have conservative friends and say, like, look, it's not okay to say, well, I won't support Donald Trump, but that's it. But I'll support everything else around him that keeps him in power and lets him do what he does. That's unacceptable. And frankly, for me, as someone who actually like unabashedly would say, I love this country, it is not acceptable for me to have friends who are openly helping destroy this country while I'm doing everything I can and sacrificing my own time and money to do it, right? Going the opposite direction. It's not acceptable. And I think we all need to start saying that. It's like, look, if the other side are doing actual Nazi things, things that, like, if this was happening in another country, we would invade them, right? Like, my joke is, I wish America would finally realize that they need to invade us and take us over, you know, because this is a horrible, like, dictatorship.
Yeah.
But it, I'm hopeful that we can do this, right?
Mhm. So just a few more questions.
Sure.
One member said that she heard that Paxton is working hard to suppress the Latino voters. What do you know about that?
It's all, I don't think so. It would not be actually, that would probably be a smart thing to do at this point. I think the Latino community has wholesale turned on them. And they're making no efforts to try to staunch the bleeding. And you even have, like, conservative Latino voters, like conservative Latino leaders who are screaming, saying, like, why aren't we doing anything more to stop this, to do some damage control? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was the? I think I lost the chase a little bit. What was the question again?
Was wondering, she's heard that Paxton
Oh, yeah.
is
No,
working to suppress Latino voters.
no. Okay. The part I left out was, I don't think that is true. But the part that I'm very, 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 very scared about is the Trump part of it. Okay. Our state secretary of state recently, all of a sudden, out of the blue, resigned.
Mm.
And the governor appointed a MAGA idiot, like somebody within the legislature that everyone knows is just a complete moron, right? And I'm like, really smart person with ethics is leaving, and person with no ethics and is like, will basically do whatever you tell them to, is being put in place. Like, what could that possibly mean? Right? My guess is, and the conventional wisdom is, the previous Secretary of State was told, you're going to be asked to do this. And the Secretary of State says, no, I'm not going to prison for you. And, she says, you know what? Have fun. I'll see you guys later. So
Okay,
I don't know what they're planning. I don't know what they're going to do. Donald Trump is trying to get people to stop using mail-in ballots. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me, because Republicans overwhelmingly use more mail-in ballots more than Democrats do, because there's more rural members of the Republicans. There are more older members of Republicans. Republicans are on average 10 years older on average than Democrats. So they're more likely to use mail. But it doesn't make any sense to me. But I've talked to experts who say, like, look, he's not going after a particular group. He's trying to suppress the vote everywhere across the board in the last ditch hopes that just suppressing the votes enough is enough to not have any real change. that it's just enough to skate by because they really don't have any other options. Their last option is basically to force martial law, and that's I would say if you asked me a year ago, I would say no, that can't possibly happen. Now I'm like, it's a non-zero probability now. It's non-zero, and every time Trump's numbers go down, that probability goes up, and it
Okay.
scares me.
Yeah. So I think this is the last question, and it's about our favorite word, affordability.
Yep.
What messages besides affordability are resonating with former Trump voters?
It's everything that's surrounding it. I mean, whether we want to talk about it or not, healthcare, education, our environment, it's all going towards affordability. Essentially, it's how much does it cost to live, right? So if your school system does a crappy job of educating your kids, you're going to have to spend more on tutoring. You might not be able to get the scholarship that you need, so you have to pay more for student loans, et cetera, et cetera. Healthcare. Why do we care about healthcare? Because it's about our costs. So like when we get hurt, when we get sick, how much does it cost us to stay alive? Our environment, there's a cost to a bad environment. We get sick, we die, right? Those things are bad. Like we pay good money to have clean things and beautiful things. Our environment's no different. And at the end of the day, everything we're really doing is about costs. Whether it's about deregulation of electricity that put money into the pockets of billionaires, but made consumers pay more, right? Whether it's that or taking money out of the public school system and giving it to the wealthy for private school. It's the same thing. And it's over and over again. It's just this, they like to talk about redistribution of wealth when it comes to making sure that the poor and the middle class have services. But we don't talk about it the same way when it goes the other direction at the top. And over again, our policies for the past like 30, 40, 50 years has been that. Like, how do we screw the middle class and take that wealth and give it to the rich? And I hope that if if we can teach all Americans that, if we can teach all Americans that, like, look, what divides us should not be black, white, Latino, or religion, or anything, or gay or straight, because all of y'all gotta work. All of y'all gotta eat. All of y'all need a home over your heads. All y'all need insurance and need healthcare. That's what unites us, right? And I promise, I would say, like, you know what? Like, who's not getting paid enough? Right? If you say, yes, I'm not getting paid enough, you're with us. Right? Who thinks things are too expensive? You raise your hand, you're with us. Let's go. Right? That's it. And I don't think we need to go beyond that. Like social issues, and talk to people about social issues. Like, people get really up. People really it gets up their craw about Democrats and like a lot of the social issues. And I always ask them, okay, fine, forget the social issues. Tell me, does books with bad words in it, does that really affect your life? Has it changed your ability to earn money? Has it changed your ability to access healthcare, your kids' education? Those books with bad words in it, does it affect anything? And of course they have to say, well, no, not really. Then can we talk about the things and only focus on the things that actually affect your life? And people really can't argue with that. And that's the way to go. And the more people are getting hit with all the crap that's happening now, the more it's ready for us to say, what matters in your life? Can we just talk about those things that actually matter to you? Things that affect whether you survive, whether your children live or not. Let's focus on those things.
Great. So thanks so very much for.
Yeah, I was gonna, because we do end on time, but I wanted to say, I think it was Peter who opened up, said, Gene, would you please, go and teach Democrats how to talk about the things that you said today, because it was so inspiring. And in our last section of the meeting, we have Mary is gonna talk about our favorite topic.
Yeah,
fundraising.
I'd like to invite all y'all to listen to my sister Mary about being an ambassador, which is how we make
Yay.
all this work. So thanks again to Gene.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
all
you.
so much. I gotta get up and I gotta go take care of the kids.
Okay.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So, my name's Mary Pence, and I want to talk to you for just a minute about my own experience of being an ambassador. And the basic concept, by the way, of being an ambassador is reaching out, extending a hand. And so, when I send the invitation to my college roommate, the parents of some friends of my kids, a work colleague, a neighbor. Of course, some of them don't respond. Some of them don't respond, but they actually show up at the event and are inspired and educated at the event. And then some of them actually thank me. They thank me for giving them direction about how to contribute in a strategic and impactful way. Because, we're all just inundated by text, by email, by phone call with requests for contributions, and they're all urgent and they all have deadlines and they all need something right now. And we have no ability to assess whether this particular ask is something that's going to make a difference. So people actually thank me for letting them know about an effort that can really make a difference in saving our democracy. So we will be having a fundraiser the end of July for these state legislative candidates that both Jim and Jean have been talking about. And my request to you is to think seriously about being an ambassador. We provide you with all the materials. All you have to do is really think about your network and who in your network shares your passion for doing something, as Jean said, for doing something to save our democracy. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And if this is something that you feel you could do to ask at least 10 people, of course, the more the merrier, but at least 10 people individually write an email and say, this is what I think you should contribute to because it will make a difference. Thanks so much.
Do you have a date yet, Mary?
No, it'll be the last 2 weeks in July, and the reason we don't have a date yet is because we are looking for a headline speaker, and there are a couple of intriguing possibilities, and of course, we want to take advantage of a really inspirational speaker if that becomes feasible. We will, of course, hear from a couple of the candidates themselves. And that's actually the thing that inspires me the most because they invariably are what I call salt of the earth people, hardworking, committed. What they need is some dollars from us. So we'll let you know just as soon as we have the date, but that's why we don't have it yet. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I'm putting my email in the chat.
Okay, so our official meeting time has ended. We're just a few minutes late, but we always stay on for, for like 10 to 15 minutes afterwards for conversations among ourselves. So you're welcome to do that. And we'll be here to continue a conversation. We learned so much, or at least I did, today about Texas, and Jean was so inspiring for me. All right. So people can unmute themselves, and we don't have to do hand raising anymore.
Yeah, this is really open mic. You can talk about anything you want relevant. to the election, I guess. Looks
I'd
like
like
Meg
to-
has her hand up.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Meg.
I just want to encourage everyone to listen to Obama's speech and to watch the Michelle Norris show on MSN. She did a 2-hour special and talked with some of the curators and others. I mean, this is so inspiring. It's what it means to be a good American. And Barack and Michelle Obama just lift the spirits.
Other people?
Yeah, I want to express my appreciation for having our guest speaker today. I mean, I've heard so much about Texas and what went on during when they were breaking the quorum and things, but I never heard it from a firsthand person, and it really just brought home sort of what they must be going through. And I can't say I would have appreciated it without hearing that from someone who did it, right? And experienced it personally. So it's one thing to read about in the newspaper or wherever your media is. It's another to hear it from somebody who was living it. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It was so much worse
So-
than I thought.
So we have a Texan here, Donna Gershenwald. You need to unmute yourself, Donna, and then say something to us.
Yes. Hi. Well, I just want to say how grateful I am to all of you for showing up, and for taking in what Gene had to say, and for these comments since he left, like, gives me so much hope. One thing I've heard Gene many times, he is represents a district that's next to me. He is the real deal. When Texas lost power for all those days and people froze, there were people who died in his district because they froze to death. And he and his wife set up like basically community aid. They brought people food. They brought people jackets. They were like on the streets in their community doing the work. He is at protests. He is everywhere, and he is not alone. And I often say about Texas that I'm a New Yorker. Like like he says all y'all. Like my kids, when they say forget all y'all, when they say all y'all, I mean my like skin crawls. I'm like, we don't say y'all in my house. But I've been here 30 some odd years, and what I have seen is that Texas is not a red state. Texas is not even a non-voting state. Texas is a voter suppression state. They make it so hard to vote that, like, we talk about mail-in ballots, like it's almost impossible to do a mail-in ballot properly here in Texas. It has to be done through the U.S. Post Office, and nothing can be done online, et cetera, et cetera. Like at every step, it is difficult. So one little bit of extra money that means there's like that extra outreach to a person to say, like, do you know there's an election? The polling place is over here. Like each of those things that just nudges the bar a little bit will make such a difference. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. There has been such underinvestment in Texas. And one other thing, just to give you a sense of perspective, that I do a lot of work with a small group of friends of mine on the West Coast as well. And I think it's hard to understand. So Harris County, which is where I live, that's where Houston is. The population of Harris County is greater than that of each of 26 states. So like we're number 27 on the, they're all behind us. And if we listed states and counted ourselves as a state, just Harris County alone. So like, we just need to like keep spreading the word, and even upping, as he said, in each district a little bit more, we can get those statewide candidates over the finish line. And then I think the rest will tumble. Like other states will not be able to do this nonsense that they do if they see that things are moving so much in the direction away from them. So I thank you.